Richie, have you ever considered emigrating to Canada?
We have discussed it.
Yeah, I found him a nice little house.
In where? Montreal?
Montreal houses are way too expensive, but there are other areas outside Montreal, like Laval or outside Laval, that are near a train station and they're like inexpensive.
But Richie, you don't speak French, do you?
Well, there was also discussion of me just living in your basement.
Yeah, either one, whatever you prefer.
Chain him to a microphone to record podcasts.
No, I'll just keep buying him trolls as bribes.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh my god, Aegon, welcome!
Maybe that was a diversion so that you would be...
Well, I'm glad it was a diversion because I have one sentence to say about what he found.
What did he find?
Are you keeping up with him?
I just realized he had a YouTube channel. I subscribed to him yesterday.
Like we're friends. Like we like correspond like regularly.
Yeah, and I follow him on Twitter too, actually.
I kind of know what he's going to do before he does it because he usually like...
You get the inside scoop?
Well, it's more that he only does a video when something's 100% working.
Oh, okay.
So I see him like, it's like 5% ready, now it's 20% ready. Because he has to go through all these like iterations of how the thing's going to work. And like,
you mean like putting something back in the game?
Yeah, because it's a really long and complicated process.
Yep.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
We're just talking about Lance's workflow, kind of. Because like, Sanadis K is the same thing where like they only want to do videos if it's like finished and they can actually show it off properly.
Yeah.
So like with the warp chairs, it started off with like he got the chair model back. And then a couple of days later, he got the prompt working.
Can you explain warp chair? I haven't heard of this.
Oh, okay,
Hey,
right. So
that's like 6 months ago. Where have you been?
Writing a dissertation.
yeah, it's fine.
Priorities?
in Bloodborne, the thing that was there originally instead of the lanterns, they were just chairs. Like
Are
the
you
chair
serious?
you find Michelage in.
Oh.
No, it played into the story in a much more... It makes a lot more sense.
Oh.
There were chairs like the chairs you find in Yahagor with the corpses in them.
Makes sense,
so you would
yeah.
sit in those, yeah.
Like Maria's chair.
Yeah, you would like strap yourself into a chair and astral project from the chair back to the dream.
Oh, interesting.
And like that was... It wasn't just like the lanterns with a different skin. They had like a menu and everything, and when you found them, there would be like a phantom version of you in the chair.
Oh, like your player character specifically?
Yeah, no, it was a phantom version of you.
Oh, that's cool.
Huh.
So you'd see it in the chair, and then you go and you'd like shake the phantom awake, and like you'd like wake yourself up and then sit in the chair.
Oh, that's weird.
And you'd like project from the chair to the dream and back again.
Oh, that's so cool.
So he got them restored.
Yeah,
But like
right.
it was a really long process of like, I found the chair model. Then 2 days later, like I got the prompt working, but it crashes. And then like another couple of days later, the prompt works, but only one of the options doesn't crash. Then like later on, I got the phantom working, but when you interact with the phantom, it crashes. So like I knew about warp chairs because of Lance, like a month before he made that video.
Wow.
But it's just this drip feed of like, here's where I'm at now. Because he lives like a couple of hours away from me. So we're in the same time zone. We're on at the same time. So basically, I'm just like, hey, what's up? Oh, it's like, it's like it's the evening. What are you doing on working on restoring this? And like, yeah, the thing he most recently found that's like, and because like I like know too much about stuff outside of that I'm able to like tell him, oh yeah, that thing is from like this trailer or that asset's from this map or whatever. Yeah. So like, what we figured out together is that how Dark Souls 3 was going to have bonfire creation as a mechanic.
Yep.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
That's the pus of man.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was their purpose.
Those enemy types?
Yeah, those would become the bonfires. It was only them.
Oh, so you would kill them and then drag their corpse.
You'd kill them, and then like the pus of man itself, the like black blobby thing would appear, and then you'd have two options. One was like purge the spirit, which it refers to the pus itself as evil spirit. So it's like, burn away the evil spirit, and if you did that, it would create a bonfire. Because it's like you'd set it on fire and burn the pus out. But then there was another option that was submit to the spirit, and if you did that, then the world would like move into Demon Souls kind of black world tendency.
Yeah,
it would it would like get a different skybox, the lighting would go dark, and you would get different enemies.
So that would have been And so I guess they created 2 different skyboxes for each area, which would explain the...
Every area's got like 8 different skyboxes. It's like really weird.
Okay, so never mind. I was going to say that the change that occurs in the game now would have been...
Yeah, no, that you would have been able to... It's like Demon Souls World Tendency, but you would have been able to set it just manually. Like you can set fire or dark for every area.
Oh.
And then when you went back, you could just kill another passive man and reset it.
Why would they... I still wish they had, like... kept that in the game.
And it looks like the other thing he found really recently that like I think he's only shown me because it was almost like a glitch and he can't recreate it, is the pilgrims in Lothric that are like all along the stairs, they can wake up and attack you.
No way.
Yeah, they just get up and they're not like super aggressive, but they're enemies, and they like hobble around the stairs with their staff, and if you get too close they whack you with it. And it's like completely unused animation, but it's in there, and we're like, I don't know.
I thought the whole idea behind them originally was that they were just there for so long that they became petrified, but... Yeah,
but like we're wondering if that was to do with the different worlds.
Oh,
but, like,
maybe depending on the tendency.
Yeah, if you did one, depending on the tendency, they would come back.
Oh, that would have been so cool.
Yeah, and like another thing he's found recently is like, there was basically someone on 4chan posted a bunch of leaks, a bunch of stuff and said, I worked as QA on Dark Souls 3.
Oh, okay.
I can't say who I am because blah, blah, blah. Like I would get fired, but here's all the stuff I saw. And like it was years ago and we just filed it away because it's like, it's an anonymous source on 4chan and there's nothing to back. So what the fuck ever. But it's turned out that like a lot of the things they said in that we can confirm now.
Oh, cool.
So we're starting to think that like, okay, this was probably like everything they say is probably true. Because one of the things they talk about is that you would have, how you go from like, there's Irithyll and then you go down the like spiral stairs and then there's Irithyll Dungeon.
Yep. Distant Manor to Irithyll Dungeon.
Yeah, and then but when you're on the spiral stairs, you can look down and there's like you can see the gap where the Ballista and Smoldering Lake is.
Yep.
Originally, like, that was a complete path, and what would happen is when you beat the boss of Smoldering Lake, you would just walk straight up there to Irithyll.
Oh.
And there was no Irithyll. The Irithyll Dungeon was somewhere completely different, which helps explain the whole, like, why the Profaned Capital and Irithyll Dungeon really don't make very much sense.
Yeah, the geography of it is silly.
Yeah. Because when K-Steve was on and you were like, the door to the dungeon is in a tower.
Yeah, we go down, but there's a whole thing above it that we never access any of that.
That door was put there like really late. They just moved the Irithyll Dungeon from somewhere else.
That's disappointing.
So yeah, and there's this whole thing about there being like two different paths to Irithyll. There's like an upper path and a lower path, and the game would like fork, and you could take one of them. So it was like a non-linear trip to Irithyll.
Yeah,
and there's all this other shit about like Yorm was the boss of Karthus at that point.
Of Karthus? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and like, because the whole, again, Wolnir doesn't really make very much sense. But like, again, this is like me and Lance collaborating.
Wolnir was in what is now the Profane Capital, right? And it was clean in there. Yeah, we talked about that when
they swapped around. Yeah, and like it's
funny, that was the last episode of Let's Talk Lore, and it was like 6 months ago.
I like know now 100% that Yorm was Karthus's boss, because Yorm's internal, all the bonfires have like internal developer names.
So they swapped the bosses then.
Yeah, so the boss Volnir's bonfire in Karthus is called Halleck, which is Yorm's internal name. And Yorm's bonfire is called King of the Dead, which is Wolnir.
Yeah.
Yeah, and from what we gather, like, the Profane Capital's backwards. Like, you would start where Wolnir is and climb up through the dungeon.
Weird.
And apparently Wolnir wasn't like, you could fight him, but otherwise he was an NPC.
Oh, yeah, right.
And he would just be in the room, and he was like Nito, he was a covenant leader, and you would offer him stuff. And he was head of the mound makers, and that's why you get vertebra shackles, because you would like give the skeleton guy bits of skeleton.
Oh, because otherwise the mound makers makes very little sense.
Yeah, it's like everything we find that's been cut makes so much more sense than what we got.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's like you were saying, I listened to the episode you guys did on Aldrich, the podcast you guys did on Aldrich, and just thinking like, Oh my god, is it like actually, the idea that Aldrich and Sullivan were once
Sullivan.
the same person?
Yeah, which like
In
I
development?
had been saying Aldrich and Sullivan were the same person since before we had any of that.
Mhm.
Because I just said just from like a narrative point of view, they do one thing. So it's
Mhm.
almost like they got one character and split him in half and made him into two, and that's exactly what they did.
Well, I think the only difference is the distinction between them would be their motivation.
Yeah.
Whereas, Sullivan has his whole motivation coming out of the painted world and wanting to like create a space for himself where he can be, have a world of stasis where he's in control. But
yeah, and the whole
Aldrich
thing about
is
how he
just-
can't accept loss.
and Aldrich just wants to eat. That's
Yeah. And like, even having looked into it deeper, I don't even think the Aldrich boss that we have was ever meant to have wasn't meant to be Gwendolyn. Because I've looked at them like pretty closely, and
Mhm.
it's more just like a guy who dresses similar to Gwendolyn.
yeah.
Like the crown is like, it's a similar crown, but it's also a different crown. And like the robes they're similar, but they're also black and they don't exactly match. And like Aldrich's
You mean the
face
robes
is-
that the Gwendolyn's
Yeah.
body is wearing, I guess?
Yeah, but like Aldrich's face is like really long and thin. Gwendolyn's face is quite round. And like, I'm pretty sure it was just meant to be, this guy is the head of the Dark Moons now that Gwendolyn's gone. And that's so he dresses like Gwendolyn.
Mhm.
And he has Gwendolyn's like abilities, but he's not supposed to be like a Gwendolyn like marionette.
Okay.
And also, that Aldrich boss looks like they were the head of the grub people. And that's why the Aldrich boss is like a giant grub from the waist down.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
the...
exactly. Yeah.
It's like they like implemented a shuffle function in like the programming of the game.
Yeah.
They just shuffled all the bosses in the areas.
Those grub things can like crawl out of the muck in Aldrich's arena.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, this all makes so much more sense now.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Because like where the grub people... I guess so. I guess that explains why we find a grub person in Irithil.
Yeah.
That finally
Yeah.
makes sense now.
Yeah.
That finally makes sense. That's
He's
crazy.
just like a giant grub, so he's the leader of the grub people. And yeah. And it's all over the place. And like there's like a different final boss. There's no Soul of Cinder. Ice Dragon Peak, like an NPC takes you there instead of you meditating.
See, Soul of Cinder is one change, if that was like really a last minute change that I still really, really like.
Yeah, Soul of Cinder like was an NPC to begin with.
What?
Because like on the front of the box, right? The like the iconic set for DS3 is the filing set.
Yeah.
And the intro shows a guy in the filing set just walking
Dragging
around
a
doing
corpse.
stuff. Clearly not Soul of Cinder. It's just a guy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because it was just a guy.
Well, he's dragging a corpse and creating a bonfire out of it.
He creates a bonfire out of it. Yeah, because that was just a character in the game. Who, like, it looks like they would have been the Solaire equivalent or something. Just this, like, knight that you knew. Who, like they appear at Firelink and they're the one that takes you to Arch Dragon Peak in the end. And, like, Soul of Cinder's just not in there.
What?
And the whole, like, the kiln and the dreg heap place at the end of the game just aren't in there at all. They were, like, added, like, really, really late.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like, the final boss is Pontiff Sullivan, but he's a different character. And
yeah. Dark Souls 3. What the hell happened? Like, is it just that we've subjected Dark Souls 3 to closer scrutiny than the other games? Like, because I know the other games have cut content as well.
Yeah. Well, like, I have my own theories.
You want to share one or two of them?
Okay. So
No, they're secret.
in the early press for Dark Souls 3, they talk about it like this is the end. This is the final game in the series. This is the end of the trilogy. Then they stop saying that and they start saying this is about taking the series in a new direction. So I think what happened was they originally had this like apocalyptic story planned where like the world would actually have ended.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone, either like people in From got cold feet or maybe someone from Bandai Namco, said to them, you can't end the series because at some point we might want Dark Souls 4. So can you just like cut some of the more apocalyptic stuff out? And because the game is weirdly structured where after the Lords of Cinder, you get like the eclipse in the sky and the butterflies flying everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, the apocalypse has started, but then you just beat Lorien and Lothric and Link the Fire.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like kind of irrelevant that all of that happened. And it looks more like it really does look like the end of Dark Souls 3 was going to be the end of the Age of Fire. Because it looks like what you were going to do was you would have performed a ritual in Firelink that would have put the fire in Firelink out completely.
Oh.
And all the fire would, and that's Untended Graves.
Mm-hmm.
The reason Untended Graves exists is that was supposed to be the end of the game. You would be in a version of Firelink where all the fires had gone out.
Oh,
And then,
okay.
right. And
Yeah.
you know the big bell tower where Patches like traps you.
Yep.
The reason you just buy a key kind of randomly is
Mhm.
because there wasn't supposed to be a key. What would happen is at the end of it, like you're kind of changing Firelink Shrine's world tendency. And that change in tendency would cause the door to open. You wouldn't be able to get to it normally, and then you'd climb all the way up the tower,
Yeah.
and then you'd ring the bell again, the bell that wakes you up, and it would wake up the final boss, who was like, we don't know exactly, but it looks like they were Pontiff Sullivan's model and moveset.
And I
their
presume
name
that
was
would have been in the arena where we fight Gundyr now?
Gundyr, yeah, and their name would have been Old King of the Eclipse.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty cool boss name, though.
Yeah. And we don't really know anything beyond that. And like, again, we're finding all this shit like, do you know the Wolf of Farron, how it just sits there and does nothing? That was a boss. You would have fought the wolf like you fight Sif.
But this is like Dark Souls 2 level of change in direction. That's
the
crazy.
weird thing is like we've looked into a lot of the Bloodborne cut stuff, and a lot of that looks like it was technical.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like they couldn't figure
Because-
out how to manage it.
Well, no. The thing is, it's Sony, because Sony have a stipulation that if you have a PS4 game that's released on a disc, you have to be able to play the game, like stream it from the disc.
Oh, okay. You don't. Yeah.
So it
rather than
looks like
installing
the issue was that the map files were so big that they were originally using that it wouldn't stream properly. Like it would play fine if you installed it, but it wouldn't stream. And it was like slowing down. And like we know, the door behind the cleric beast?
Mm-hmm.
That's why that doesn't open.
It wouldn't be able to load fast enough.
Yeah, that literally, if the game was running off the disc and you beat the cleric beast on your first attempt, Cathedral Ward wouldn't have installed yet.
Well, and
So
even if the game is installed on the hard drive, you see with speedrunners,
Yeah.
they
exactly,
when they're going through certain parts of the game, there's no floor, no textures are loaded,
Yeah, exactly,
nothing. Yeah.
So it was that shit was happening. And like, so they just had to remove the door and make Gascoigne mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
And use Gascoigne as like a bottleneck to load the game in. And like Lance got me to test this. So like I uninstalled Bloodborne and put the disc in and ran to Gascoigne.
Mm-hmm.
And it's by that point it's like 5 FPS.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like really, really chugging. It can't move properly. I beat
Also
him
probably
and then, like,
explains like the trap with the ball that's on fire on the bridge.
yeah,
Anything to slow you down.
everything like the game it looks like it's about to crash. It's like really, really slow. And like by the time I got it was still slow when I got into Erden, and by the time I got out of Erden, like I was just running as fast as I could to make progress, and like by the time I got to Old Yharnam, it was fine.
And,
But like,
wow, and the old Bloodborne loading screens too, with no item descriptions or anything.
yeah, it's like so. Yeah, like that looks like, because there's all this shit planned for Bloodborne that like the Yharnamites were going to turn into beasts under the Blood Moon.
Whoa.
Like, when that-
right. Well,
Yeah, like, so it would happen, and like it wouldn't just be Gil, but it would be everyone in Yharnam's going to turn into a beast and attack you.
have they found? Have they found anything about? Because I remember in interviews it was suggested by Miyazaki that they had a beast form in the game that you could
no, we
become
never
blood
found
drunk.
that.
No,
Well, there's a stat. The Beasthood stat is like, it's weird because the Beasthood stat is always in there, but you get resistances to it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way it works in the final game is you don't want to resist the Beasthood. You actually want your Beasthood to go up because it's like a damage buff.
Well, it's inversely related to insight, isn't it?
Yeah, it's inside and also like Carol runes and armor and stuff. But the idea is like if you're doing a Beasthood build, you want as much Beasthood as possible.
Yep.
Whereas in the alpha, it's geared around like resistance to Beasthood, like it's a negative thing. So you want like stuff that cures Beasthood and like equipment that stops you getting Beasthood. And it's called Theriomorph there, not Beasthood. But that's just another fancy way of saying like furry. So so yeah, that's like all the weird shit that we're finding.
I still have a lot of stuff to get caught up on.
If you've been following the wiki, the Bloodborne wiki, but I've been writing pretty extensively for that, doing like write-ups of
which one? Fextra-Life?
No, come on. Aegon.
No, God, no. Bloodborne-wiki.com.
Oh, okay.
The one that Meph
all right.
runs. Yeah, I've written most of the cut content stuff.
Oh,
for
cool.
that.
My favorite wiki previously was the wiki.ones, ones, but then for starting Dark Souls 3 they didn't really add much to it.
Yeah, Meph used to do the wiki.ones, ones, and then she moved on to Bloodborne.
Okay, fair enough.
So like it's called the Bloodborne wiki, but it's like all written in Notepad by her.
Oh wow, jeez.
It just navigates like a wiki. It's really obsessive.
By the way, if I were to like, would either of you know where I could go to get like a paste bin file of like dialogue and item descriptions and stuff for Dark Souls 3 or the other games?
Yeah, there's a game. I'll give it to you.
That would be amazing.
The game facts document.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Because that's something that.
The problem is it's a real pain to navigate because it was written for an older version of game facts.
Well, but theoretically, couldn't I just copy and paste it into a Word document or something? Yeah, it's just like. No, it's fine, but it's like it's written. It was written for an older version of GameFAQs, so it's sort of like irritating to read because it makes every subheading becomes its own page. Okay.
Like you can't just view it as one big document. But yeah, it's.
Well, I'm more concerned about like I'd love to have the ability to just search for keywords. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, that's all of Dark Souls 3 in English and Japanese.
Oh, awesome! Thank you.
And he has a Bloodborne. Like he's called Drummer Dave. I've corresponded with him a bit.
Oh, beautiful.
He doesn't have 2 or 3. He doesn't have 1 or 2. He just has 3, and he's got Bloodborne as well.
All right. Well,
yeah.
Thank you for catching me up on everything.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. Gina/Co has helped on those as well.
Mm-hmm. Did you know they found out who killed Maria Aegon?
Who killed Maria?
You know what I'm gonna say, Richie. You gotta back me up on that.
Well, Sinclair thinks Ludwig killed Maria. She's thought this for some time.
Yeah, okay.
I've just given up.
No, what happened was I made a lore video like a long time ago about how Maria didn't kill herself, how she was actually murdered, right?
Okay.
And then some people were like, "You crazy." And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure Ludwig killed her for, like, reasons which I explained pretty clearly. And do you know what Lance found recently?
What?
Someone did kill Maria.
How did he find that, though? What do you mean?
Oh, no, yeah, that's what happened.
Literally.
Maria's quest is truncated.
I saw a video where she was supposed to be an NPC, right?
Yeah, originally you would meet Maria, she'd be alive. And then Simon would tell you to kill her. I mean, if you didn't kill her and reloaded the area, Simon would kill her.
Really?
And then, and you would still get her, like, slumped in the chair.
Yeah.
And then you touch the corpse and do the boss fight. But they just, I think just for the sake of brevity, just cut that out and had her start off dead.
Yeah, so technically I was right, and it could still be Ludwig and a Simon mess.
Huh. Well,
yeah.
Yep.